right, well, here we are at the May 2016 Transaction Review and Calculator practice. I'm really excited tonight because we have one of the community members, Ken Buccio, who has been with me pretty much since I started this club, this community, and he's done some really neat things lately and has some really good layperson, just a guy doing the business, investing his own funds, and mainly just enjoying time with his grandkids and loving life, and super awesome. Been very valuable to me and to the rest, many other people on the calls and webinars over the years, and really appreciate his time. And I think you're going to be blown away by, like he said, it's not rocket science, but let me tell you, it's going to raise your eyebrows and make you wonder why, what you're going to be when you grow up, or how you're going to manage your own retirement fund. So, but first, what I'd like to do at the beginning here is just do a quick little, and I started doing this before, but I want to get back to it, where we just do just a little bit of calculator practice, just for the point of getting comfortable with the calculator, because I want to keep this piece going. People come, and think that it's really, really hard, and I want to show that it's really not that complicated, and how you actually really do need a financial calculator to figure some of these things out. You can't do it with a regular calculator. So, all right, so here's a little sample that we're going to do before we get to Ken's awesome presentation that he's worked up for us. Let's say we have a note balance of $200,000. That's the face rate. The face amount of the note was 200. I'm going to put it in PV here, present value. The interest rate, the face rate on the note, 7%. I'm going to put it in the I/R here. And it's 10 years, but only with one payment per year. So 10 years, one payment per year. What's the annual payment? So the thing we have to do first is realize that the payments per year are normally 12, right? Most loans are paying once a month, so 12 payments a year. So to figure this problem out, we have to actually change it to one payment a year. So I want to show how we do that. So we take the one, and then we use this shift key here, this orange. That brings up payments per year over here. And we click that, and now we can see it's really small, but the payments per year up here is 1. So that's one payment per year. And 10 years, so we know that we've got 10 of those. So what's the annual payment? See if you can get it before I click over there. Obviously, future value here is 0, and if I don't put anything there, I could go ahead and do this. If I don't need to, I could leave it empty. But just to solve for the payment, what's that annual payment per year? $28,475. Okay, well, interesting. Some notes do pay like this, but not very many. But what would the balance be after 4 years? So there's more than one way that you could do this, and I'm going to show you the 3 ways. So number one, let's look at the amortization schedule here. After the 4th year, it looks like the balance is $135,729. Let's see if that's the same as if we do it a different way. I'm going to put, I've received 4 payments for 4 years. Now, after receiving 4 of these, I'm going to press future value to see what remains on the note. Same number. They're $135,729.60. So that is the balance after 4 years. All right, Ken, you're on.
Okay, thanks, Don. One of the most important things in life, Don, is just developing relationships. I mean, forget the math, forget the calculators, forget what you're going to make. The most important thing when you're really dealing with anything, real estate or any other item in life, is how can you make your partner's life better, and how can they make your life better. Sometimes you have to be more flexible than them. Sometimes you have to earn their respect. Mm-hmm. And once you do that, then the money will come and it will flow pretty easily. And then a lot of other things get figured out. So one of the things I can recommend to all of our listeners is that try to develop a relationship before you worry about the money. And if you're worried about, anything else, try to get started without worrying about the money as well. I mean, don't invest $100,000, don't invest 50. Do a small deal, do it with whoever you can trust, and then build your build your trust and build your education and your knowledge from that one deal, and you'll be surprised. And then, of course, take seminars like yours, go to different classes, and the more you learn, especially with the financial calculator, the more you'll be able to put deals together in a way where you have never thought in a million years that you could have done this, looking 5 years forward, and then where you started out, and then 5 years from now. It's amazing how much money can really come in your pocket just because of the fact that you've learned something as simple as the financial calculator, and you have a lot of power by doing that. Somebody might say, who's listening to the podcast, well, what happens if the investor on the other end in North Carolina, what happens if he dies or something happens to him? Well, currently we're doing a life insurance policy where I'm, since he's a key employee,
right,
I'm going to be put as a beneficiary in that life insurance policy, and we're going to get it for about $650,000, I believe. So in case that happened, which it could, life can happen in many different ways. If that should happen, and God forbid, I hope it never would, I would be at least protected on that area there. And then on the other end, like I just said, if there was a whole economic failure where that house that supposedly I said was worth 130 only was worth 90, well, then I still have that 90,000 as the principal in the house, and in 4 or 5 years, I'm sure I would be okay and everything would be fine at that point as long as I was able to hold it and get a property manager. But the way it is right now, with the economy the way it is, the houses, when you buy a house for $65,000 in the United States, I think pretty much there's nothing but an upside potential for $65,000.
right.
And mobile homes go for more than that. So what we've developed on this is that through our relationship, it wasn't always this way. There's two different scenarios. There's a 12.5% interest that I would yield if he sells it in 4 months or sooner. And then there's a 15% yield that I would get if he sells it more than 4 months. And again, like I said about relationships, is if he sells it for 4 months and a week, or 4 months and 2 weeks, you know what? It's not worth it for me to try to get an extra 2.5%. I'm going to give it to him and say, good job, and go get me another one and close it, sooner. And here's the bonus. I'm not going to charge you the 15%. I'll just charge you the 12.5%, because it's good karma to do that. Now, if it's 5 months, then maybe he owes me the 15%, and it works both ways, type of thing, give and take.
Right.
But here's the key, and most people listening are going to say, well, 12.5 and 15, Ken, no, that's not too bad. I mean, for all the money that you're putting in. But what we haven't talked about, it's 12.5 or 15% based on an annual basis.
Right.
So if it closes in 4 months and it's interest only and there's no points on the loan and I'm not receiving any monthly payments, so that's all good for the other investor in North Carolina. That's a perfect scenario for him. So go ahead and go to the next slide. What it amounts to is that, the 90,000, the interest rate is 12.5 to 15. The term is 3 to 7 months. The monthly payment is 0 to me, and the amortized loan is interest only. So that works pretty much in the investor who's flipping the property. That works into his advantage. So that's why he probably looks at me, as a person, that's loaning him all this money, and it seems to be, good terms for him. So go ahead and go to the next slide. So if you have a financial calculator, this is the worst case scenario. When I say worst case scenario, I mean that instead of getting 15%, I'm only going to get 12.5. Now keep in mind though, and we didn't do this on here, and maybe Dawn can show you if she wants to, but this is would be 3 months, so I'm only going to get 12.5%. But if you put in the $90,000 present value,